please do not call my dad, the little girl whispered, clutching a silver necklace against her jacket. He will think you hurt me. Marcus Reed stood beneath the buzzing parking lot lights with rain dripping from the edge of his work cap. He had only stopped at the grocery store for milk, bread, and the cheapest box of cereal Noah liked. His hands still smelled faintly of motor oil from the garage, and his back ached from 8 hours under other people's cars. But when he heard a child crying near the cart return, he forgot about the clock, the rent notice folded in his pocket, and the missed call from Noah's school. 3 older kids stood near the far end of the lot, their sneakers splashing through shallow puddles as they laughed at the girl's worn denim jacket. Marcus did not know her name yet. He only saw the way she held herself small, shoulders curved inward, like she hoped the rain could hide her. "Come on," one of the kids said. "It is just a necklace." The girl shook her head. "It was my mom's." Marcus stopped about 10 feet away. He did not raise his voice. He did not move fast. He simply placed his grocery bag on the wet pavement and said, "Store security is right inside. You all need to head back toward the entrance." The kids turned toward him. One of them looked Marcus up and down, taking in his old gray work shirt, his dark skin, his tired eyes, and the oil stain near his sleeve. "This is not your business," the boy said. Marcus nodded once. A kid being scared is everybody's business. The words hung between them. Rain tapped against the metal cart corral. A shopping cart rolled slowly across the lot until it bumped against a curb. The girl looked at Marcus, her eyes wide and unsure. He kept his hands where she could see them. "You can stand behind me if you want," he told her. She moved closer, not touching him, just stepping out of the open space where the others had trapped her. Marcus could feel her shaking through the quiet. A store employee pushed through the automatic doors, carrying a radio in one hand. The older kids looked toward the entrance, then toward Marcus again. Their laughter had disappeared. One of them muttered something under his breath, and they walked away through the rain, shoulders hunched beneath the gray sky. Marcus watched until they reached the sidewalk. Then he turned slowly toward the girl. "Are you hurt?" he asked. She shook her head. Her fingers were still wrapped around the necklace. "My name is Lily," she said. "I am Marcus." He crouched a few feet away, careful to leave space between them. "Do you have someone you can call?" Lily looked toward the street. The rainwater reflected red brake lights and the blue glow of the store sign. "My dad is coming," she said. "But please do not call him." Marcus studied her face. "Why not?" Lily swallowed. "Because he will see you here. He will think the worst thing." Marcus looked down at the puddle beside his boot. In its shaking reflection, he saw a tired black man in a stained work shirt, kneeling beside a frightened white girl in a nearly empty parking lot. He understood exactly what she meant. Before he could answer, a deep engine sound rolled in from the far end of the lot. Headlights cut through the rain. Lily's face went pale. Marcus stood, not because he was afraid of the motorcycle coming toward them, but because he knew the next few minutes might decide what kind of story people chose to believe. The motorcycle stopped beneath the grocery store sign, its engine settling into a low, uneven rumble before going quiet. The man who stepped off it was broad-shouldered and tall, wearing a black leather jacket darkened by rain. Water ran from his beard onto the pavement as he pulled off his helmet. Lily did not run to him. She stayed behind Marcus, one small hand pressed against the silver necklace at her chest. That was the first thing Marcus noticed. The second was the way the man's eyes landed on Marcus and did not move. "Lily," he said. His voice was rough with fear. "Why are you standing behind him?" Marcus felt the question land like cold rain. He kept his hands open at his sides. "Your daughter was having a hard time," he said. "Some kids were bothering her. They left when an employee came outside." The man looked past Marcus toward Lily. "Is that true?" Lily opened her mouth, but no words came out. The grocery employee stood near the automatic doors, watching with a worried expression and a radio held close to his chest. Marcus could have pointed to him. He could have explained every second. Instead, he lowered his voice. "She is scared right now. Maybe ask her when she is ready." The man's jaw tightened. "I am her father." "I know," Marcus said. "That is why I am telling you she needs a minute." For a long second, neither man moved. Cars passed along the wet road beyond the lot, their tires hissing over black pavement. Marcus thought about Noah waiting at home with Mrs. Ramirez from downstairs, probably pretending he was not hungry so he would not make his father feel late. He thought about the milk growing warm in the grocery bag near the cart corral. He also thought about Lily's eyes when she had asked him not to call her father. The man took one step closer, then stopped when Lily finally spoke. "Dad," she said softly. "He helped me." Her father looked at her. "What happened?" Lily rubbed her thumb over the tiny silver clasp of the necklace. "They wanted this. They said it was ugly and old. They said nobody would care if they took it." Her voice shook on the last word. The man's face changed, but not all at once. The anger did not disappear. It folded inward, becoming something heavier. He looked toward the sidewalk where the other children had gone, then back at Marcus. "Did they touch you?" he asked Lily. She shook her head. "No." Marcus told them to leave. The father repeated the name quietly, as if testing it. "Marcus." Marcus nodded. "Marcus Reed." The man looked at the oil stain on Marcus's sleeve, then at the grocery bag on the ground. "You work nearby?" "At Darnell's Auto, over on Pine Street." "And you just stopped?" Marcus gave a tired half-shrug. "I heard her crying." Lily stepped out from behind him then, though she stayed close enough that Marcus could see her in the corner of his eye. "He did not even know me," she said. Her father's shoulders lowered a fraction. The rain had softened to a mist, and the parking lot lights made every drop look pale gold. He reached for Lily slowly, giving her time to choose. She went to him and pressed her face against his jacket. His hand settled on the back of her head. When he looked up again, his eyes were still guarded. "Thank you," he said. The words were quiet, almost reluctant. Marcus nodded once and picked up his groceries. "Make sure she gets home warm." He started toward the entrance, but Lily called after him. "Marcus." He turned. She held up the necklace. "My mom gave me this." Marcus looked at the small silver shape shining in her hand. "Then keep it close," he said. Behind her, the biker watched him walk away through the rain, carrying a bag of milk and bread as if nothing important had happened. But Marcus could feel the man's stare between his shoulder blades, and he knew the story was not finished. By the time Marcus reached his apartment building, the rain had stopped, but the cold had settled into his shirt. The hallway smelled like bleach, old carpet, and somebody's fried onions drifting under a door. He climbed 2 flights with the grocery bag cutting into his fingers, already rehearsing the apology he would give Noah for being late. Mrs. Ramirez opened her door before he knocked. "There is my favorite mechanic," she said, though her eyes went straight to the grocery bag. "Your boy is trying to act brave, but he has asked what time it is 6 times. Marcus smiled faintly. "I owe you." "You owe me nothing. Just get him fed." Noah sat at the kitchen table in his dinosaur pajamas, one sneaker off and the other still tied. A worksheet lay in front of him beside a cup of pencils. When he saw Marcus, he tried to sit up taller. "I finished my reading," he said. Marcus set the groceries down and crouched beside him. "You did?" Noah nodded. "And I did not complain. That might be the most impressive part." Noah laughed, but Marcus noticed the way he tucked one foot beneath the chair. The toe of his sneaker had split open again, a thin smile of gray foam showing through. Marcus had promised himself he would buy new shoes after Friday's paycheck. Then the rent notice had come. Then Noah's school had called about a fever. Then the garage had cut 2 of Marcus's shifts because he had missed work to stay home. "How was the store?" Noah asked. Marcus looked toward the rain-specked window. For a second, he saw Lily's small hand wrapped around the silver necklace. "Busy," he said. "I met someone who needed help." Noah considered that. "Did you help them?" "I tried." Noah nodded as if that was enough. Later, after grilled cheese sandwiches and the cheapest tomato soup Marcus could find, Noah fell asleep on the couch with a blanket pulled up to his chin. Marcus carried him to bed, careful around the loose sneaker by the door. Then he sat alone at the kitchen table under the yellow light. The rent notice waited beside a stack of unpaid bills. "Final reminder," it said in hard black letters. Marcus turned it face down. He took Noah's sneaker into his hands and examined the split toe. The sole was worn thin, but the rest could last another week if he made it hold. From a drawer, he found a tube of shoe glue, red thread, and a needle bent slightly at the tip. His fingers were better with engines than fabric, but he worked slowly, pressing the torn edges together, stitching where the glue would not reach. Outside, a car passed through the wet street, tires whispering against the pavement. Marcus thought about the biker's face when Lily said he had helped her. The man had said thank you, but his eyes had carried something else. Suspicion, maybe, or shame. Marcus knew that look. He had seen it from store clerks, landlords, parents at Noah's school, people who decided what he was before he had the chance to speak. He did not blame Lily's father for being afraid for his daughter. Fear made people build walls fast. Still, Marcus could not forget how Lily had stood behind him, small and shaking, as if he were the only solid thing in the parking lot. He finished the last stitch and held the sneaker up to the light. The repair was not pretty. Red thread crossed the gray fabric like a small scar. But it was strong. Marcus placed the shoe beside Noah's bed, then checked his phone. One new voicemail waited from Darnell's auto. He listened with his hand resting on the kitchen counter. "Marcus, it is Darnell. Call me first thing. We need to talk about your schedule." The message ended. Marcus stared at the dark screen for a long time. Then he looked toward Noah's room, where the repaired sneaker sat quietly by the door. In the silence, he understood that some things could be fixed with patience. Others were already moving toward him, whether he was ready or not. The next morning, Marcus arrived at Darnell's auto before the sun had cleared the low clouds. The garage doors were half open, and cold air moved through the bays carrying the smell of rain, rubber, and old gasoline. He had barely set down his lunch bag when Darnell called him into the office. Darnell was not a cruel man. That almost made it worse. He stood behind a metal desk with both hands resting on a clipboard, his gray eyebrows pulled together. "You are good with customers, Marcus," he said. "You are one of the best mechanics I have." Marcus waited. Praise before bad news had its own sound. "But we are slow," Darnell continued. "And you have missed too many hours lately." Marcus looked at the calendar on the wall. He knew every day he had missed. Noah's fever, the school nurse calling. The afternoon he had spent in a waiting room because his son could not stop coughing. "I told you I could make up the time," Marcus said. "I know you did." Darnell looked down at the clipboard. "I cannot keep you on full hours right now." The words landed quietly. No shouting. No slammed doors. Just a clean cut through the week Marcus had been trying to hold together. "How many hours?" Marcus asked. 25, maybe 30 if work picks up." Marcus thought of rent, groceries, Noah's shoes, the electric bill taped to the refrigerator. He nodded because there was nothing else to do. "All right." Darnell looked relieved, which hurt more than Marcus expected. "I will call you if anything changes." Marcus returned to Bay 3 and lifted the hood of a sedan. His hands moved automatically, checking belts, hoses, and connectors, but his mind was somewhere else. At 11:30, the front bell rang. Marcus glanced up and saw black leather through the glass office door. Grant Carter stood in the waiting area, rain still clinging to his boots. He looked different in daylight, less like a storm, more like a man who had not slept well. Darnell stepped out of the office and greeted him. "Can I help you?" Grant looked past him toward Marcus. "I am looking for Marcus Reed." The garage went quiet in the way places do when strangers arrive with serious faces. Marcus wiped his hands on a rag and walked forward. "I am Marcus." Grant's eyes moved over him again, but this time there was no sharpness in them, only hesitation. "I went back to the grocery store," Grant said. "The manager showed me the camera footage." Marcus said nothing. Grant swallowed once. "You did exactly what Lily said you did." Marcus folded the rag in his hands. "Good. Then you know she is okay." Grant looked toward the open garage door, where rainwater dripped from the awning. "I know I made you feel like you had to prove yourself." Marcus's jaw tightened, though he kept his voice even. "You did not know me. That is not an excuse." Grant reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small paper bag. "Lily wanted me to bring you something." Marcus did not take it. "You did not have to." "I know." Grant set the bag on the counter between them. Inside was a box of cereal, a loaf of bread, and a pair of children's sneakers, still in their store box. Marcus stared at them. His first feeling was not gratitude. It was heat rising behind his ribs. "I cannot take that," he said. Grant nodded as if he had expected it. "Then do not take it as charity." Marcus looked up. Grant's voice dropped. "Take it as a father trying to say he saw what you did for his kid. I did not know how else to show it." Marcus glanced toward Bay 3, toward the sedan waiting with its hood open, toward Darnell watching from a distance. "My son needs shoes," he admitted. The words came out quieter than he wanted. Grant's face softened. "Then let him have shoes." Marcus looked at the box for a long time. Finally, he picked it up. "Tell Lily thank you." Grant nodded. He turned to leave, then stopped at the doorway. "My bike has been making a strange sound," he said. "If you have time, maybe you could look at it sometime." Marcus almost laughed. "I have 25 hours a week now. I have time." Grant looked back at him. For the first time, the two men shared something that was not suspicion or debt. It was the tired understanding of fathers who measured life in grocery bags, school calls, and the small things their children needed before morning. That evening, the new sneakers sat on the kitchen table beside the cereal and bread, bright blue with white soles and still smelling like the store. Noah came home from school with Mrs. Ramirez and stopped so suddenly in the doorway that his backpack slid off one shoulder. "Are those mine?" he asked. Marcus leaned against the counter, still wearing his work shirt. "They are your size. Try them on." Noah dropped to the floor and pulled off his repaired sneaker, the one with red thread crossing the toe. He held it for a second before setting it aside carefully. Then he slipped on the new shoe. His face changed as soon as he stood. "They do not hurt," he said, taking 2 small steps across the kitchen. "They are supposed to not hurt." Noah looked down at them, then up at Marcus. "Did you buy them?" Marcus paused. "A girl named Lily wanted to help." Noah thought about that. "The girl from the store?" Marcus nodded. "Her dad brought them by." Noah's eyes widened. "The motorcycle dad?" Marcus smiled despite himself. "That is one way to say it." Noah walked in a slow circle around the kitchen, testing the shoes like they might disappear if he moved too fast. Then he stopped beside the old pair. "Can we keep these too?" he asked. Marcus looked at the red thread, uneven and stubborn against the gray fabric. "Why?" Noah shrugged. "You fixed them." Marcus swallowed the tight feeling in his throat. "Yeah," he said. "We can keep them." The next Saturday, Grant arrived at Darnell's auto just after noon. The sky was clear for the first time in days, and sunlight shone off the rows of parked cars. His motorcycle rolled into Bay 3 with a rough, clicking sound that Marcus could hear before Grant even removed his helmet. Lily sat behind him wearing a small pink raincoat, even though there was no rain, her silver necklace tucked safely beneath the collar. When she saw Marcus, she waved both hands. "My dad said you might fix the bike." Marcus wiped his hands on a rag. "I will see what it is trying to tell me." Grant parked beside the lift and looked around the garage. He seemed less guarded than before, but he still held himself like a man used to standing between danger and his daughter. Noah sat near the office window with a coloring book, wearing his new sneakers and swinging his feet under the chair. Lily spotted him and walked over slowly. "Those are nice," she said. Noah looked down at his shoes. "They were from you." Lily shook her head. "My dad brought them." "But you wanted him to." Noah considered this, then smiled. "Thank you." Lily sat in the chair beside him and opened her backpack. "I have crayons." Within minutes, the 2 children were drawing at the small desk, their heads bent over the same page. Marcus watched them for a moment before turning back to the motorcycle. The clicking came from a loose heat shield near the exhaust, nothing dangerous, just a part that had worked itself free over miles of road. He tightened the bolts, checked the chain, and listened again. The engine settled into a smoother sound. Grant stood nearby with his arms crossed. "You knew that fast," he said. "It is what I do. You are good at it." Marcus looked at him. "Thank you." Grant nodded toward the office. "Lily has not stopped talking about you." Marcus glanced at the children. "She is a good kid." Grant's face softened. "She misses her mom." The words came quietly. Marcus did not ask questions. He only nodded. "Noah misses his too," he said. Grant looked surprised. Marcus kept his eyes on the motorcycle. "She left when he was little?" "Not because she did not love him. Life got complicated. Then it stayed complicated." Grant looked down at the concrete floor. "I am sorry." Marcus tightened the last bolt. "Me too." For a while, the garage was filled with ordinary sounds. A radio playing low near the office, a wrench settling on metal, children whispering over crayons. Then Lily walked over holding a drawing. It showed 4 people beneath a crooked yellow sun. Marcus, Noah, Lily, and Grant. Above them, she had drawn a motorcycle with 2 large circles for wheels. "This is us at the garage," she said. Grant looked at the paper, then at Marcus. His eyes stayed there a second longer than necessary. "Maybe," he said, "we could all get lunch after this." Marcus almost said no. He had learned to be careful when people with more money offered kindness. But Noah was already looking up, hopeful. Lily was smiling. Marcus looked at the repaired motorcycle, the new shoes, the drawing in Lily's hand. "Lunch sounds fine," he said. And for the first time since the rain-soaked parking lot, the space between the 2 fathers did not feel like a wall. They ate lunch at a small diner 2 blocks from the garage, the kind with cracked red booths, a spinning pie case, and a bell above the door that rang whenever someone came in. Noah chose grilled cheese and fries. Lily chose pancakes, even though it was nearly 2 in the afternoon. Grant ordered coffee and a burger, while Marcus settled for soup and half a sandwich after looking at the prices twice. The children sat across from each other, coloring on the back of the paper placemat. Lily drew motorcycles with flowers on the gas tanks. Noah drew a robot with blue sneakers. For a while, the adults only listened to the soft scrape of crayons and the clink of silverware. Grant stirred his coffee without drinking it. Lily has not slept well since her mother died, he said at last. Marcus looked up. Grant kept his eyes on the dark coffee. She thinks if she holds on tight enough to that necklace, nothing else can leave. Marcus did not know what to say. The diner window reflected passing cars and the pale afternoon sky. Kids carry things in ways we do not always see, he said. Grant nodded. I know. His voice had gone quiet. I just do not always know how to help her carry them. Marcus looked toward Noah, who was showing Lily how to make a paper airplane from the corner of a placemat. You showed up for her, Marcus said. That counts. Grant gave a short breath that was almost a laugh. You make it sound simple. It is not simple, Marcus said. It is just important. The waitress came by with the check, but Grant reached for it first. Marcus put his hand over the edge of the folder. I can pay for me and Noah. Grant looked at him. I know you can. The answer was so calm that Marcus let his hand fall away. Outside, the afternoon had turned gray again. By the time they returned to the garage, a fine rain had begun to tap against the metal roof. Lily and Noah stood near the office window, pressing their palms to the glass and watching the drops race downward. Marcus checked Grant's motorcycle one more time before handing him the keys. It is ready, he said. Grant took them, then did not move. Darnell told me your hours got cut. Marcus's shoulders stiffened. Darnell talks too much. He did not say much. I asked. Marcus set the wrench down. Why? Grant looked toward the children. Because I saw the way you looked at those shoes. Marcus did not answer. The garage smelled of wet concrete and warm metal. Grant reached into his jacket, then stopped himself. I have friends who own shops, he said. I could make calls. Find you something better. Marcus felt the old heat rise in his chest again. He had spent too many years being offered help that came with a hand on the back of his neck. I do not need someone to rescue me, he said. Grant nodded immediately. You are right. He leaned against the motorcycle, rain ticking softly outside. I did not say it right. Marcus waited. Grant looked down at the keys in his hand. I'm not trying to buy what you did for Lily. I cannot. I just know good work when I see it. And I know you deserve a place that does not punish you for being a father. The words settled between them. Marcus looked through the office window at Noah, who was laughing because Lily had folded her paper airplane backward. He thought about the voicemail from Darnell, the rent notice, the red thread in the old sneaker. What kind of calls? He asked. Grant looked up. The kind that let you decide for yourself. Marcus nodded slowly. Then you can give me a number. Nothing more. Grant reached into his pocket and handed him a plain business card with a name written on the back, Harbor Street Custom Garage. The owner is a friend, he said. He needs someone who knows engines and does not quit when life gets hard. Marcus held the card between two oil-stained fingers. It was only paper, but it felt heavier than that. Before he could say anything, Lily ran over with Noah beside her. Dad, can Marcus and Noah come to the bike ride next Sunday? Grant looked at Marcus first. Marcus almost refused out of habit. Then he saw Noah's new blue sneakers, bright against the gray floor, and Lily's silver necklace resting safely against her chest. Maybe, Marcus said. Grant smiled, small and careful. Maybe is enough for now. The bike ride began under a bright Sunday sky, with sunlight flashing off chrome and windshields outside a small community center near the river. Marcus almost turned around twice before he parked his old sedan at the far end of the lot. He had never been around so many motorcycles at once. Their engines had settled into silence, but the air still smelled like warm metal, leather, coffee, and the sweet smoke from a food truck near the curb. Noah pressed his face to the passenger window. They are all so loud, he said. Marcus looked at the rows of bikes and the men and women in worn jackets talking beside them. They are quiet right now. Noah grinned. Not the bikes. The people. Marcus laughed softly. Fair point. Grant saw them before they reached the entrance. He walked over in jeans and a faded black shirt. No helmet. No hard expression. Lily hurried beside him, her silver necklace catching the sun. You came, she said, as if she had been afraid they would not. Noah stepped out of the car in his blue sneakers, trying not to stare at the motorcycles. Dad said maybe, he told her. Lily smiled. Maybe became yes. Grant held out a hand to Marcus. Marcus shook it. The gesture was simple, but it felt different from the first time they had stood in the rain. There was no crowd watching, no fear in Lily's eyes. Only the river moving beyond the trees and the quiet sound of people setting up folding tables. This is not a big thing, Grant said. Just a ride and a food drive. We collect canned goods, take donations, help the shelter stock up before winter. Marcus looked toward the boxes near the entrance. That is a good thing. Grant nodded. It matters to Lily. Lily was already showing Noah a row of helmets painted with flames, stars, and tiny flowers. One older woman with silver braids let Noah touch the smooth red helmet resting on her motorcycle seat. That one is too big for you, she said. But you can borrow it when you are taller. Noah looked at Marcus. Can I be taller by next week? Marcus smiled. You can try. For the next hour, the children moved between the tables while Marcus helped carry donated cans from cars to the community center door. Nobody asked him to prove anything. Nobody watched him with that careful look he knew too well. They simply handed him boxes, thanked him, and made room. Grant worked beside him without saying much. At one point, they lifted a heavy carton together, and Grant said, Harbor Street called me yesterday. Marcus looked over. Why? They said you have an interview Tuesday morning. Marcus stopped walking. The cardboard box shifted in his arms. You called them already? Grant's expression tightened. I gave them your name after you said I could give you a number. I did not tell them anything you would not say yourself. Marcus studied him. Grant added, If that crossed a line, I am sorry. Marcus looked toward Noah, who was laughing as Lily tried to teach him a simple hand signal for a motorcycle ride. Then he looked back at Grant. It did not cross a line, he said. It just surprised me. Grant nodded. You do not owe them anything. You do not owe me anything either. The words stayed with Marcus as they carried the box inside. Later, a light rain began, soft enough that nobody ran for cover. The riders pulled tarps over the food tables. Lily stood beneath the awning with Noah, holding the edge of her jacket around the silver necklace. Marcus joined them. You okay? He asked. Lily looked toward Grant, who was helping secure a tarp. I am okay, she said. Dad is different lately. Marcus followed her eyes. Maybe he is trying. Lily nodded. Are you different too? Marcus looked at Noah's repaired old sneaker hanging from his backpack by one lace. Noah had brought it along because he said he wanted to remember it. Maybe, Marcus said. Lily smiled. Maybe is enough. When the rain stopped, sunlight returned in a thin gold line across the river. Grant came over carrying 4 paper cups of hot chocolate. He handed one to Marcus without a word. Marcus accepted it. The cup warmed his hands. Around them, motorcycles started one by one, not in anger, but in rhythm, like 100 deep breaths moving through the morning. Tuesday morning arrived colder than Marcus expected. He stood outside Harbor Street Custom Garage with both hands wrapped around a paper cup of coffee he could not afford to waste. The building sat near the edge of the industrial district, painted dark blue with wide glass doors and a clean white sign above them. Inside, he could see lifts, tool cabinets, and motorcycles lined up beneath bright lights. It looked nothing like Darnell's auto. There were no piles of old tires in the corner, no radio crackling through static, no damp cardboard boxes near the office. Everything had a place. Marcus checked the time on his phone. 8:52. His interview was at 9. He had left Noah at school with a packed lunch, a note for the teacher, and a promise that he would be home before dinner. The promise sat heavy in his chest. He pushed through the glass door. A woman at the front desk looked up from a computer. She had silver hair pulled into a loose bun and reading glasses resting on her head. Marcus Reed, she asked. Yes, ma'am. I am Evelyn Harper. I own the place. She came around the desk and shook his hand firmly. Grant said you would be early. Marcus tried to smile. I did not want to be late. Good habit. She led him through the garage. The air smelled of clean oil, coffee, and warm rubber. Mechanics moved between lifts with quiet focus. Nobody stared at Marcus. Nobody stopped what they were doing to measure him. Evelyn pointed toward a motorcycle on the far lift. Customer says it loses power after 20 minutes on the road. We have checked the obvious things twice. Marcus looked at the bike. Do you want me to tell you what I think? I want you to show me how you think. Marcus set down his coffee and walked closer. He listened to the engine, checked the fuel line, studied the wiring beneath the seat, then asked for a flashlight. He did not rush. He did not pretend he knew before he looked. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. Evelyn stood nearby with her arms folded, watching without interrupting. Marcus found a connector near the heat shield, worn just enough that it would fail when the engine got hot. He held it up between his fingers. "It is small," he said, "but heat changes everything." Evelyn nodded slowly. "Can you fix it?" Marcus looked at the parts shelf. "Yes." As he worked, he thought about Lily's necklace, Noah's old sneaker, Grant's business card. Small things. Things people overlooked until they mattered. When the motorcycle started cleanly after the repair, Evelyn did not clap or make a speech. She simply looked at Marcus and said, "You pay attention." Marcus wiped his hands on a rag. "I have to." Evelyn leaned against the workbench. "Grant told me you would not want favors." Marcus felt his shoulders tighten. "Then he should not have told you much." He did not. Her voice stayed calm. "He said you helped his daughter." "I do not care about that for this job. I care that you showed up early, you listened to the engine, and you found what 2 other mechanics missed." Marcus looked down at the rag in his hands. "I need steady hours," he said. "I have a son." Evelyn nodded. "This position is 40 hours a week. Health insurance starts after 90 days. The pay is better than what you were making. But I need someone who treats every customer's car like their child is riding inside." Marcus looked at the motorcycle, still humming softly on the lift. "I can do that." Evelyn held out her hand again. "Then start Monday." Marcus shook it, but the relief did not arrive all at once. It came slowly, like warmth returning to fingers after standing outside in the cold. When he stepped back onto the sidewalk, his phone buzzed. A message from Grant waited on the screen. "How did it go?" Marcus stared at it for a moment, then typed, "I start Monday." A reply came almost immediately. "Good. Lily said she knew you would." Marcus put the phone in his pocket and looked across the street at the gray morning traffic. For the first time in months, the future did not look like a locked door. It looked like a garage opening before sunrise, bright enough to show him where to step. Monday began with a sunrise the color of weak coffee, pale and quiet over the rooftops. Marcus parked outside Harbor Street Custom Garage 10 minutes early, though he had barely slept. Noah had packed his lunch the night before and placed it by the front door beside his new blue sneakers. Before leaving for school, he had hugged Marcus around the waist and said, "Do not forget you are good at fixing things." Marcus had smiled, but the words followed him all morning. Inside the garage, Evelyn handed him a clean navy work shirt with his name stitched above the pocket. Marcus ran his thumb over the white letters before putting it on. It was only a shirt. Still, it felt like someone had made room for him. The morning moved fast. A delivery van with a failing alternator. A family sedan with a stubborn warning light. A motorcycle that needed a new clutch cable before its owner could ride home. Marcus worked with his head down, listening more than he spoke. By noon, his hands were black with grease, his shoulders ached, and he felt something he had not felt in a long time. Useful without being afraid of the next phone call. Then Evelyn appeared beside his lift with a folded envelope. "This came for you," she said. Marcus wiped his fingers before taking it. The return address was his apartment building. His stomach tightened before he even opened it. Inside was a notice from the property manager. His rent was still late. The amount was printed in bold, along with a deadline that sat only 4 days away. Marcus read it twice. The new job would help, but his first paycheck was still 2 weeks away. He folded the paper carefully and slipped it into his pocket. "Everything all right?" Evelyn asked. Marcus looked at the engine in front of him. "It will be." She did not press. That was another kind of kindness. After work, Marcus picked up Noah from Mrs. Ramirez's apartment. Noah came running down the hallway with a paper in his hand. "I got picked for the science fair," he said. "We have to make something that works." Marcus crouched and looked at the page. "What do you want to build?" Noah thought hard. "Maybe a little car. One that does not stop when it gets tired." Marcus felt the rent notice against his chest. "That sounds like a good car," he said. When they reached their apartment, a black motorcycle was parked near the curb. Grant stood beside it, holding a small grocery bag. Lily sat behind him with a helmet on her lap. Marcus stopped at the bottom step. "What are you doing here?" Grant lifted the bag. "Lily made cookies. I told her we should ask before bringing them upstairs." Lily held up a paper plate covered in foil. "They are chocolate chip. I did not make them alone, but I stirred." Noah stepped forward. "Can I see your motorcycle?" Grant looked at Marcus first. Marcus nodded. For 5 minutes. Noah hurried toward the bike, and Lily followed him. Grant watched them with a faint smile. Then he looked back at Marcus. How was the first day? Marcus almost said fine. He almost kept the notice hidden, the way he had hidden every hard thing for years. But Grant had seen him in the rain. He had seen the old shoes. Good, Marcus said. Really good. Grant nodded, waiting. Marcus looked toward the apartment door. I just have to get through the next 2 weeks. Grant's expression changed, not with pity, but recognition. The rent. Marcus did not answer, which was answer enough. Grant reached into his jacket, then stopped. I am not going to hand you money, he said. You told me what that feels like. Marcus looked at him. Grant continued, but the food drive has a garage raffle this weekend. We need someone who can tune up an old motorcycle we are giving away. Paid work. Cash when it is done. Marcus studied his face. You planned that. I asked around after I saw the notice tucked in your pocket at the diner. I should have asked you first. Marcus felt the familiar warning rise in him, then heard Noah laughing near the motorcycle. Grant lowered his voice. Say no if you want. But it is real work, and it needs doing. Marcus looked at the grocery bag, the cookies, Lily kneeling beside Noah as he traced the chrome handlebar with one careful finger. When, he asked. Grant let out a slow breath. Saturday morning. Marcus nodded. Then I will be there. Grant did not smile too wide. He only said, Good. Above them, a hallway light flickered on as evening settled over the building. Marcus watched his son stand beside Lily and imagined, for one quiet second, that getting through the next 2 weeks might not mean doing it alone. Saturday morning came bright and cold, with a hard blue sky stretched over the community center parking lot. The old raffle motorcycle waited beneath a canvas awning, its paint faded, its seat cracked at the edges, and its engine silent as a locked room. Marcus arrived before 8 with his tool bag in one hand and a thermos of coffee in the other. Grant was already there, unloading folding tables from a pickup truck. When he saw Marcus, he raised one hand in greeting but did not come over right away. Marcus appreciated that. Some people offered help by standing too close. Grant had begun to learn the difference. Lily sat on a curb beside Noah, both of them wearing knit hats and holding paper cups of hot chocolate. Noah waved when Marcus walked up. Dad, Lily says this bike is older than you. Marcus set down his bag and looked at the motorcycle. That is rude to the bike and to me. Lily smiled. My dad said it has good bones. Marcus ran his fingers along the fuel tank, then crouched beside the engine. Your dad is right. It just needs somebody to listen. For the next few hours, he worked while the community center filled with volunteers carrying boxes of canned food and raffle tickets. The motorcycle needed more than a tune-up. The carburetor was clogged, the battery cables were corroded, and a small fuel line had hardened with age. Marcus cleaned each part slowly, laying bolts in neat rows on a cloth. Grant brought him coffee once, then stepped back when Marcus nodded his thanks. Around noon, the engine finally turned over. It coughed once, then settled into a steady low sound that made Noah jump with excitement. People nearby clapped, but Marcus only listened. He adjusted one screw, waited, then nodded. Now it is ready. Grant stood beside him, his face open with relief. You did more than we agreed on. Marcus wiped his hands on a rag. It needed more than we thought. Grant looked toward the raffle table, where a woman in a red coat was counting ticket sales. We raised enough to cover the food drive and pay you for the work. He held out an envelope. Marcus did not take it immediately. What is in there? The amount we agreed on, Grant said. Nothing extra. Marcus accepted it and felt the weight of the cash through the paper. It was enough to cover the rent deadline. His chest tightened, but he kept his face steady. Thank you. Grant nodded. Thank you for making this bike worth giving away. Just then, a gray sedan pulled into the lot and stopped near the curb. Darnell stepped out, hands in the pockets of his old work jacket. Marcus felt his shoulders go still. He had not seen his former boss since starting at Harbor Street. Darnell looked around at the food drive, then at the motorcycle, then at Marcus. I heard you were here, he said. Grant moved slightly closer, not in front of Marcus, just near enough to make it clear he was listening. Marcus looked at Darnell. What do you need? Darnell rubbed the back of his neck. Nothing. I came to say I should have handled things better. Marcus waited. Darnell continued. I was under pressure, but that does not change what cutting your hours did to you. The cold wind moved across the lot, carrying the smell of coffee and engine oil. Marcus could have told him about the rent notice. He could have told him about the nights he sat at the kitchen table fixing shoes because new ones were out of reach. Instead, he looked at the raffle motorcycle, now running smooth beneath the morning light. "I hope you do better for the next person," Marcus said. Darnell nodded, his eyes dropping. "I will try." He left without another word. Grant watched the sedan pull away. "You could have made that harder for him," he said. Marcus closed his tool bag. He already knows what he did. Lily came running over with Noah beside her. She held up a raffle ticket and grinned. "Dad says we get to draw the winner." Marcus looked at the children, then at the envelope in his hand. The rent notice was no longer a wall in front of him. It was only paper, waiting to be paid. He smiled at Noah. "Go draw a good one." As the children ran toward the table, Grant stood beside Marcus under the clear blue sky. Neither man spoke. They did not need to. The motorcycle hummed behind them, steady and warm, like proof that something old could still carry someone home. That night, Marcus paid the rent online from the kitchen table while Noah sat beside him building a small cardboard car for the science fair. The confirmation screen glowed green for a second, then disappeared. Marcus kept looking at the empty space where the warning had been, as if he expected it to return. Noah taped 2 bottle caps to the bottom of his car and pushed it across the table. It rolled crookedly, bumped into the salt shaker, and fell onto its side. "It keeps stopping," Noah said. Marcus picked it up gently. "Then we find out why." The apartment was warm with the smell of tomato soup and chocolate chip cookies from Lily's plate, which still sat covered on the counter. Marcus had not eaten one yet. He wanted to save them for tomorrow, though he did not know why. Maybe because some kindness felt easier to accept in small pieces. His phone buzzed. A message from Grant appeared. Lily drew the raffle ticket. The winner cried when she saw the bike. Marcus smiled at the screen. Then another message came a minute later. "I owe you an apology that is bigger than thank you." Marcus stared at the words. He did not answer right away. Across the table, Noah had taken apart the cardboard car and was studying the wheels with serious concentration. "Dad," he said, "if something does not work, do you throw it away?" Marcus looked at him. "Not before you understand what is wrong." The next afternoon, Grant came to Harbor Street Custom Garage just before closing. He did not bring groceries, shoes, or an envelope. He came alone, wearing jeans and a plain dark shirt, his hands empty. Marcus was finishing a brake inspection when he saw him through the glass door. Evelyn looked over from the front desk. "Friend of yours?" she asked. Marcus watched Grant wait without stepping farther into the garage. "I'm still figuring that out," he said. When Marcus walked over, Grant nodded toward the parking lot. "Do you have 5 minutes?" Outside, the sun was low, turning the shop windows gold. Cars moved slowly along Harbor Street, and the smell of warm asphalt rose from the pavement. Grant stood beside his motorcycle, but he did not lean on it. He looked like a man trying to stand without armor. "I watched the grocery store footage again last night," he said. Marcus folded his arms. "Why?" Grant looked down. "Because I wanted to remember what I did wrong." Marcus said nothing. Grant continued. "Lily was scared. You were the person who helped her. And when I arrived, I looked at you and decided I knew the story before either of you spoke." The words came slowly, like he had practiced them and still did not trust them. "I saw a black man near my daughter, and fear made me turn that into something ugly in my head." Marcus felt the traffic noise fade behind him. Grant's face was tight with shame, but Marcus did not rush to ease it. "You did," Marcus said. Grant nodded. "I did." He looked toward the garage door, where Evelyn was locking up. "I have spent years telling myself I protect Lily. But protection without respect can become another kind of harm." Marcus looked at the motorcycle, at the polished metal catching the last light. "What do you want from me?" Grant's eyes met his. "Nothing you do not want to give. I wanted to say it plainly. I was wrong about you. I was wrong to let my fear become a judgment about your skin, your clothes, and your place in that parking lot." Marcus breathed in slowly. The air smelled of oil and cold evening wind. He thought about all the times he had swallowed words because speaking them would change nothing. He thought about Lily hiding behind him, Noah's old shoes, the business card, the rent paid at last. "An apology matters," he said, "but it does not erase what people carry after they are judged." Grant nodded. "I know." Marcus looked at him for a long moment. "Then carry that knowledge. Use it when the next person needs you to see them clearly." Grant's throat moved as he swallowed. "I will." From inside the garage, Evelyn called, "Marcus, We are closing. Marcus turned toward the door, then paused. Lily is lucky you came back to say it. Grant looked surprised. Marcus added, do better because she is watching. Grant gave a small nod. I will. Marcus walked back into the bright garage. Behind him, the motorcycle engine started softly, then moved away down Harbor Street. On the workbench, Noah's cardboard car waited in a paper bag where Marcus had left it that morning. One wheel was still crooked. Marcus picked it up and turned it over in his hands. Some things did not need to be thrown away. They needed someone willing to see the problem, name it, and keep working until the direction changed. 2 weeks later, Noah stood in the school cafeteria beside a folding table covered with science fair projects. There were baking soda volcanoes, cardboard bridges, jars of beans, and a solar system made from painted foam balls. Noah's project sat near the window, small and plain beside the bigger displays. It was a cardboard car with bottle cap wheels, a rubber band motor, and a hand-lettered sign that read, "Keep going." Marcus had helped him straighten the crooked wheel, but Noah had done the rest himself. He had measured, taped, tested, and started over until the little car could roll across the floor without stopping. Marcus stood at the back of the room in his navy Harbor Street shirt, still smelling faintly of clean oil and brake dust. He had come straight from work, worried he would miss the judging, but Evelyn had waved him out the door early and told him not to argue. Noah kept looking toward him between questions from the teachers. Each time Marcus lifted a thumb, Noah stood a little taller. Then Lily appeared at the cafeteria entrance with Grant beside her. She wore a yellow sweater and held a small paper bag against her chest. Grant did not walk in like he owned the room. He paused at the door until Marcus saw him. Marcus nodded once, and Grant led Lily over. We came to see the car, Lily said. Noah smiled. It works now. Lily leaned close to the display. What makes it keep going? Noah pointed to the rubber band. You twist it up first. Then it wants to untwist. Grant looked at Marcus. That sounds familiar. Marcus gave him a quiet look, and Grant smiled without pushing the moment. A teacher asked Noah to demonstrate. The cafeteria grew still enough that Marcus could hear the faint squeak of the bottle cap wheels on the tile. Noah set the car down, released it, and watched it roll in a straight line past 2 tables before stopping near the wall. It was not the farthest car in the room. It was not the fastest. But Noah's face opened with pride, and Marcus felt something warm rise behind his ribs. Lily clapped first. Grant joined her. Then the other parents and students followed. Later, after the judges had finished, Noah received a small ribbon for persistence and creative problem solving. He held it carefully, as if it might tear if he squeezed too hard. I got a ribbon, he whispered to Marcus. Marcus crouched beside him. You earned it. Noah looked at Lily. Do you want to see the garage someday? My dad works at a better one now. Lily smiled. Only if you come to our place and see my mom's garden. Grant looked down at his daughter, surprised. Lily had not mentioned the garden to many people since her mother died. Marcus saw Grant's eyes shine for a second before he looked away. That sounds like a fair trade, Marcus said. Outside, the late afternoon sun had turned the school windows gold. Grant walked beside Marcus toward the parking lot while Lily and Noah moved ahead, talking about the cardboard car as if it were a real race car. I talked to the community center board, Grant said. Marcus glanced at him. About what? The old garage space behind the center. It has been empty for years. We want to turn it into a Saturday workshop for kids. Basic bike repairs, small engine lessons, science projects. A place where they can learn with their hands. Marcus watched Noah and Lily step around a puddle together. Who is we? Grant looked at him. The people from the ride. Evelyn said Harbor Street can donate some tools. I told them I know someone who could teach kids how to listen to an engine. Marcus stopped walking. Grant did not reach for him or try to convince him. He only said, it would be paid. It would be your program to shape. And if you say no, that is the end of it. Marcus looked at the empty space beyond the school fence, where sunlight lay across the pavement like a path. He thought about the first night in the rain, when Lily had hidden behind him because she needed one safe person. He thought about Noah's little car, moving because someone had helped him understand the wheel. Saturday mornings, Marcus said slowly. For 2 hours. Grant's smile was small but real. Saturday mornings. Lily turned back and called, Dad, Marcus, hurry up. Marcus and Grant started walking again. This time, neither man stood in front of the other. They walked side by side, following the children toward the fading light. The first Saturday workshop opened beneath a pale spring sky, and the old garage behind the community center no longer looked forgotten. The windows had been washed. The floor had been swept. A long workbench stood against one wall with donated tools hanging above it in careful rows. Someone had painted a small sign near the door, "Everyone gets home safe." Marcus arrived early in his navy Harbor Street shirt, carrying a box of clean rags and a tray of paper cups. He paused outside for a moment, listening to the quiet before the children came. The air smelled of fresh paint, coffee, and the faint familiar scent of metal warmed by morning sun. Inside, Grant was tightening a loose bolt on a stool. He looked up when Marcus entered. "You are early," Grant said. Marcus set down the box. "So are you." Grant smiled. "Lily made me come." As if she had heard her name, Lily rushed in from the side door with Noah behind her. She wore her yellow sweater and the silver necklace beneath it. Noah wore his blue sneakers, though one lace was untied. In his hands, he carried the cardboard car from the science fair, its bottle cap wheels still slightly uneven. "We brought it," he said. Marcus looked at the car. "I see that." Noah placed it on the workbench. "I want to make it better." Lily nodded beside him. "And I want to learn how motorcycles work." Grant looked at Marcus, then stepped away from the front of the room. It was a small movement, but Marcus understood it. The children began to arrive in pairs and small groups, some shy, some loud, all of them curious. A boy with glasses brought a broken flashlight. A girl with braided hair carried a bicycle bell that would not ring. Another child held a toy truck with one wheel missing. Marcus showed them how to lay their tools down in the same place each time. He taught them to look before they touched, to listen before they guessed. "Most things tell you what they need," he said. "You just have to give them time." Grant passed out safety glasses and paper towels. He did not interrupt. He did not take over. When Lily asked a question, he let Marcus answer. When Noah's cardboard car rolled crookedly across the bench, Marcus helped him find the loose axle, but Noah tightened the small nut himself. By noon, sunlight filled the garage in wide, warm squares. The bicycle bell rang. The flashlight worked. The toy truck rolled across the floor. Noah's car traveled almost 10 feet before it stopped, and he ran beside it laughing. Lily stood near the doorway, watching him. Then she took the silver necklace from beneath her sweater and held it in her palm. "Marcus," she said quietly. He walked over. "What is it?" "I thought I had to hold this all the time," she said. "Because if I let go, I would forget my mom." Marcus looked at the small silver pendant shining in the light. "You will not forget her," he said. Lily looked toward the garden behind the community center, where Grant had planted white flowers in a small wooden box. "Dad says she would like this place." Grant stood a few feet away, his eyes lowered. Marcus nodded. "I think she would." Lily closed her fingers around the necklace and tucked it safely back beneath her sweater. Then she smiled. "Can I help Noah paint his car?" "You can," Marcus said. As the children gathered around the workbench, Grant came to stand beside him. He held out a small metal key on a plain ring. "For the garage," he said. Marcus looked at it, then at the sign above the door. "You trust me with this?" Grant's voice was steady. "I trust you with more than a key." Marcus took it. Outside, a motorcycle started somewhere down the street, its sound low and distant. Inside, Noah and Lily painted a blue line across the cardboard car while sunlight moved slowly over the concrete floor. Marcus slipped the key into his pocket and watched the room fill with small hands, patient voices, and things being repaired. He had not changed the whole world. But in one old garage, on one ordinary Saturday, people had learned to see each other clearly. And for now, that was enough.